I laid a curse on the guy who graped me. I made him run mental, and I don't feel guilty about it. Before you judge me, hear me out. I'm a girl in university and I come from an average family. There are some days my parents will have, and there are some days my parents will not have. So sometimes in the university, I do assignments and I do some other things in school to pay my bills. When I say other things, I don't mean hook up. I mean things like maybe washing up their clothes, running errands for them. Yes, I do that so that I can help myself in school, because some days in school is difficult. There are some days you want to buy handouts, you don't have money. There are some days you need money to do other things, to settle lecturers. Those of you that are in university, And because my parents, they don't send me money every time, I just have to fend for myself. So there was this particular time I went to this girl's hostel to help her do assignments. I've been doing assignment for her. By the looks of things, she seems like someone that comes from a well-to-do family. So that day when I arrived there, I was doing my thing. I noticed she was there with two other guys. One of the guy was her boyfriend, and one of the other guy was her boyfriend's friend. So one thing led to another. That her boyfriend's friend started talking to me, started getting acquainted with me. I don't have a problem with it because it's a normal thing, but I was still very much concentrated on the assignment I was doing. So after I finished, I told him, this is what I do. I tried to introduce myself to him because he also seemed like someone that is from a well-to-do family, and I need the money, right? So I introduced myself to him. I said, I do assignment, this and this and this is what I do. I also wash clothes in case you need any, assistance in school. I genuinely introduced myself to him, right? And he said, no problem. He asked for my number and I gave it to him. I was hesitant to give him my number, but I just gave him because in case he would need my service, like doing the assignment or running errands for him. That was a major reason why I gave him my number. So when I got to my hostel that day, he started talking to me, right? My initial aim, like I said before, was running errands, right? But over time, we started having normal conversations. Started telling me how he likes me. These are asking me questions, and before you know, we entered a talking stage. This guy was giving me the vibe of, I like you, I want to date you. So we talked for like 3 weeks plus, and at some point I started liking him because there are some days he just randomly send me airtime and will ask me how you doing, how is school, how are you coping, that kind of thing. So with his kind gestures, I felt this is someone that is thoughtful and maybe he really wants to date me. So after we talked for like 3 weeks, he said he would want me to come to his place to come and do assignment for him because it's not always in school. The guy looks like all this person that they settle lecturer and they use money to have their way around school. So I didn't have a problem because this one I'd been talking to for 3 weeks, and at some point trust was ready. I already had trust for him, so he said I should come to his place to do assignments. That from there we can still get to know each other. The major reason why I agreed to do it is because I needed that money. There was a particular project I needed money to do in school, and I just needed to gather funds. So I said no problem. So that day came, I went to his place and we were talking. He offered me drink, of which he asked me what I wanted to drink. I said water or juice, and he brought out the assignment, right? And I was doing it, and we're still getting to know each other. But I noticed something after I took a sip. Pardon me. After I took a sip from that glass of juice, I started feeling weird. I started feeling weak. My legs started getting weaker little by little. It didn't come once, but I started feeling weak. But I didn't see it as something that is, because I've never found myself in that situation before, and this is someone that I've been talking to for over 3 weeks. Trust has been built to some point. I never thought that this guy could or had a negative aim towards me, right? So we still kept on talking, and I was still sipping the juice. And over time, I got so tired to the point that I felt sleepy and I slept off. So after a while, I woke up and I still saw him in his place. And I asked him, he said, nothing happened. That I said I was feeling tired, so I just slept off, and he didn't want to disturb me. So that's why he allowed me to sleep. But I wasn't feeling okay. I don't know how I'm going to explain. I wasn't feeling okay, but I just want to make a big deal out of it. I tried to finish the assignment that I came to do, and we talked a little bit, gave me my money. That before people say I went there for something else, I collected the amount that we both agreed that he's going to pay me for me, doing the assignment, and I went to. But on my way home, I was feeling funny. As a girl, right? If somebody taught you, even if you have not done it before. Me, I've never done it before, but I felt as if something happened to me down there, but I can't really say what it is. And because there was not enough evidence, and I asked this guy, did anything happen? He said no. I just went home. I just went to my hostel that day and I went about. Tell me why 2 or 3 days after there was this wrong narrative that started spreading around school that, oh, this particular guy had his way with me over a glass of juice. So apparently this guy went around the school, spread that wrong narrative negative narrative with his friends, and people started seeing me like someone that is loose, to the point that I felt so embarrassed that I couldn't go to class. People started gossiping about me. They started calling me different names. They started calling me cheap, and it got to a point I couldn't hold that embarrassment anymore. I had to leave school for a while. I went to the village to go meet my grandmother. Mind you, this whole thing happened in Calabar. I went to the village to go meet my grandmother because I couldn't go to my parents' house. Because I don't know what I'm going to tell my parents. Your mate is in school. What are you doing back home? And even if I told my parents, they're not going to believe me. So out of embarrassment and shame, that period I was depressed, because even to the point that the news got to the ears of the lecturers. Imagine being talked about in a public space, like in a lecture room where everybody's there and everybody's laughing. Nobody seemed to listen to my side of the story. So out of that embarrassment and frustration, I went to the village to my grandmother's place and I stayed there for a while. During this whole period, I told my grandmother everything, told her how I met the guy, told her how the guy had his way with me and lied that he didn't do it and all of those things. So when I was telling my grandmother this thing, she wasn't even listening. I felt she wasn't listening. So after I finished talking, she was like, eh. I said, yes, that's what happened. So I was expecting her to give a reaction, but she didn't. So I just say, you know what, there's no need to tell anybody. Nobody understands. So I just found a way to console myself and, keep it moving, right? So 2 or 3 days after I finished telling my grandmother that thing, she told me that I should follow her somewhere, that she wants me to escort her somewhere. I'm close to my grandmother, by the way. So I thought maybe she wanted me to follow her to her friend's place or to go do something. But my mother took me somewhere in our village. Yes. She took me to one river in our village, and she said, so when we got there, she was like, my pikin, enter this water, and those things that you told me, say, like, she told me, take off your clothes, enter this water and say all those things that you told me that the guy did to you. I was surprised, but because my grandmother, I trust her, I never done such a thing before. I just followed the instruction. I took off my clothes, stepped into the water, and said everything that the guy did to me. At some point I started crying because I felt used. I see, it's not a feeling that you wish on your worst enemy. So on your worst enemy. I'm rushing this story so I don't have part two. So my grandmother said that, what do I want to happen to that guy, that I should also say it. So out of anger and frustration, I said a lot of things. I said I want him to go down. I want his parents' finance to go down. I want him to be a dull person. I said a whole lot of things. On top of that, I said I want him to run mental. I don't want to say the word. Yes, TikTok doesn't restrict this video. I said I want him to run mental for taking advantage of me. After I finished saying everything, I had my bath, stepped out of the river, and went home. So I stayed with my grandmother for another 2 or 3 weeks so that the whole wrong narrative in school about me would die down. So then I went back to school. For the first month, second month, third month, everything went back to normal. The whole thing died down, and I was trying to get myself back. As I resumed class and everything. Tell me why exactly the third month, my roommate came to me one day and told me that, do you remember that particular guy? I've even forgotten about the guy at some point, and she said that there's a news going on in school now that the guy has ran mental, that he has ran mad. I say, how? She said, yeah, so that the thing started off as normal small thing in school. Maybe sometimes you ask some question in class, he will not answer. Before he started misbehaving. At some point, he take off his clothes and just be walking around. It will go, it will come. So his friends and family thought it was drugs, but after they did 1 or 2 research and took him to hospitals and everything, they said he's not on drugs, but they can't just pinpoint what made him start behaving like that. So when my roommate finished telling me this thing, that was when everything started making sense to me. And I remember the time I was in the river with my grandmother. I remembered everything I said. That was when I knew, okay, so actually this thing that I did, these things that I said worked. Because after I finished talking inside that river and I came out and I came back to school 1 month, I was expecting that it is going to start immediately. But as at then, I didn't know that it actually worked. So after my roommate finished telling me this thing, and I knew that, okay, this thing worked. I still yet to understand what happened to him, but deep down I know, and I don't feel guilty about it. I know I'm responsible and I don't feel guilty about it. I know some of you say, why didn't I go to the police? It's a police in Nigeria. Even if I did, chances of him sweeping it under the rug is high because he's from a well-to-do family. So I like what I did. In his next life, he will learn. He will learn to have sense. He will learn not to take advantage of a woman. He had the audacity to take advantage of me and spread the wrong narrative about me in school. I'm glad I did what I did, and I don't feel guilty about it. This is not my story, but what do you think? Did she go too far? Please leave your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.